Hello and welcome everyone to PCP Deep Dive. We are on our continuing journey through the nightmares and dreamscapes of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'm your host, Jason. Thanks for joining us. With me as always, the best darn first girl or last girl there was. Well, she's the first, she's the last, she's everything. She's Ginny. How are you today, Ginny?
I'm good. I'm pantomiming the lyrics because this is one of my favorite songs, all-time history, a history of 80 songs and any song ever. It just is, honestly. You joke, but I have it on all of my playlists.
I just keep adding songs to my playlist. Every time we do one of these movies, I'm like, I gotta add that to my liked songs.
The soundtracks are
joining us, beautiful. Joining us, as always, our compatriot on this journey, the man, the myth, the Major League hunk himself, Tim. How are you today, Tim?
No, you're a Major League hunk, and I will do everything for you, my friends. Let's go. I'm ready.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And joining us, as always, last but never least in my heart, the man in the chair, the man, the Dream Master himself, Ed. How are you today, Ed?
What's up? What's going on? I hope I make it to the episode.
Keep it going. Just like grab yourself.
Just you think, Robert? You think Freddy Krueger like poked himself in the eye at some point?
Absolutely. I just hope Marvel doesn't piss fire or something like that. No, that would be a bad.
Oh, piss fire. But yeah, so today we're about halfway through. Maybe a bit less if we're including the post Freddy movies. But we're about halfway through our deep dive. Today we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, A Dream Master, starring Robert Englund, not starring Rosanna Arquette, but we'll get to that. But before we jump into the movie, Patricia Arquette. You're right, Patricia Arquette. Well, in all fairness, it was not starring Rosanna Arquette either.
You got me there.
It's true.
Or Alexis Arquette, but I know what a loss.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it. But before we get into the movie itself, I did say that we were doing a little detour. I would say Nightmare on Elm Street 3.5, Freddy's Origin, aka No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is the first episode of the wild and crazy 80s television show called Freddy's Nightmares. Ginny, you have a big connection to Freddy's Nightmares, right? We always talk about this. You guys know I have no connection. I was a pussy when I was a kid. So, Ginny, what is your connection with Freddy's Nightmares?
It was just that it was on in college because we had the Chiller channel, which was like a streaming. I don't think it doesn't exist anymore, but it was a channel that was on our cable package, and I remember the show existed because I was a big Freddy fan, but I didn't see it because like the internet was like crappy back then. No one had like the archives yet, and it was on and like Chiller, so you'd be like studying and be like, oh my gosh, I see like a lineup of like a bunch of episodes. Let's watch it now. And you're like, man, this is like, you had to catch it because like only the STUM channel was showing it. And then I couldn't find it till like maybe pandemic when there was like, someone had all of the episodes like uploaded somewhere and I watched them. Me and my sister love them. You don't understand because they are like, we say they're like the back to school special from hell because they're cheap, kind of have some like actors that you might know. And it's like glossy and 80s and like they talk about a moral, but then Freddy just comes in and like then someone gets murdered, like bloodied and murdered, and you're like, this is like this is my nightmare, like a health, like a Like, so health class made you watch a 80s special, but then Freddy showed up. That's what it feels like to me. And I love the vibes. I love them so much.
That actually is a perfect description of this. In after school special done by Freddy Krueger. Because I agree. Like, I've watched about 4 of these now. And that's exactly what it feels like. It's like, you know, oh man, I should learn a lesson. No, bitch, you're dead. You know, and then, yeah. Ed, did you have a connection with this show? Did you watch the show as a kid?
Yes, actually, me and my friend Steve and his brother Kurt, we used to watch this when it was on Channel 9, when it was airing back in the day.
What year was
this was 88, if I remember right.
Oh my God.
This was around the time, which I found, Jason, I'm assuming that's why you had picked it, because it came out around the time Nightmare on Elm Street 4 came out. So, and you can kind of see even in the pilot episode, there's like that Elm Street 4 type of aesthetic, which I'm sure we'll get into, because it's a very unique look that movie has. But yeah, we used to anticipate it like it was on Saturday nights. So it was either Saturday Night Live, or we'd be playing video games and shit and take a break around 11 o'clock because we figured it would be coming on at some point. And then if it wasn't on, if it was a rerun, we'd get all upset and probably start beating the crap out of his brother or something like that and everything, and then keep moving on. But no, it was pretty cool. But I do remember like Freddy popping up like in the beginning, the middle briefly, and like the end after a while. And then I was kind of getting annoyed because they wasn't really like Freddy. It was just that. And then if you remember, Friday the 13th also had a series when Jason never appeared. Not once, ever. So that was even much worse, actually.
I'm actually going to posit that was a Friday the 13th series in the sense that it was called Friday the 13th and had zero to do with the franchise.
Yeah, at least this had Freddy in it on occasion. Like, he was just kind of like the guy telling the story, essentially, after it's kind of in the pilot episode also.
He's the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, basically. And Tales from the Crypt was probably
he
around
comes out,
the
he
same
tells
time,
you.
So.
Oh, maybe not.
I think it was. And
maybe a little bit later. So Freddy did it first, I think. I'd argue.
Ooh, I'm going to look now.
Oh, interesting. All right.
I love that.
Tim, what about you?
89.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Jenny. Go ahead.
What?
No, Tales from the Crypt was 1989. So Freddy's Nightmares, let's see, this was
88 was first, yeah.
Yeah, 88. So,
Ooh.
So yeah, technically Freddy beat Tales from the Crypt too.
That would put these, though, being made at the same time. I would actually say that I think it's more influenced by like the old Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt comic books. And I think it's kind of a send-off on that. I don't think one is ripping the other off.
No, not at all. I mean, it's fucking horror.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Tim, how about you? Did you watch this when you were younger?
I'm pretty sure I only made it through the first few episodes, because I mean the premise I thought was fantastic. These aren't our nightmares; these are Freddy's nightmares. It's like, oh, what could scare Freddy? What could give Freddy a nightmare? And it turns out it was production value that gave Freddy nightmares.
Just took the words right out of my mouth.
Production value
value, script, and special effects killed Freddy, because they got pretty horrible as they went on. And like you said, when Freddy's not in them, I'm like, I didn't care, because you had back then. You had, remember Tales from the Dark Side, scariest opening theme song ever.
Yep.
Oh yes.
That all like that, and you had all the other ones that are out there. They didn't do anything for me. Like I thought they were much scarier than Freddy's Nightmare. I just wanted to see Freddy. So basically, I popped up the middle, the beginning, and the end to see what Freddy would say or do, and then I really didn't care about the show after that. So
that's true.
But I enjoy. I think I'm the rare one that enjoyed watching the first one today. I did. I thought it was quite comical.
Oh, that it was.
Oh,
I won't say that. I won't say it wasn't.
I definitely enjoyed it, but it was more because I enjoyed bad things. But let's get into it, because as I said, I have no history with this. It's the first time I'd ever watched the show. I was scared of Freddy as a kid. I was so afraid of Freddy, I wouldn't even watch him on Channel 9 with low budget. I mean, I was I just couldn't do it. Whoa. But yeah, so
And-
like the story. What's that?
I was going to say, Ed should be eating meatballs with that thing right now. You should have got a big plate of meatballs.
I should get in your head and just be like, Tim, you little meatball.
Oh my god, oh my god, yeah. The body horror stuff in this is anyway. No, that's where we'll get to it. We'll get to the movie. Let's get to. So essentially, this is as Eddie, as you said during the last episode, based on a script by John Saxon, right? And it's Freddy's origin story. It's a 45-minute Freddy's origin story. It starts with Freddy, then he gets arrested, then he walks, gets let off of the trial. There's some vigilante justice. He starts coming back in dreams. Freddy is born. I mean, that's essentially the episode. Very quickly. Before we dive into the smaller parts, overall feelings of this episode. Now, granted, the production value is terrible, but were you guys embarrassed watching this today, or were you guys like, "Oh, this is interesting"? Like, what were your reactions?
Nope, I love it. I love it, and my sister also. Okay. So a few weeks ago in August, because August is when you start Halloween, and so she watches like the Amazon streaming channels that have like Horror Box and like Universal Monsters and all that good stuff. And she sends me like a video message of going, so I just like turned on my TV, or I just like popped on like, it was a channel, and she goes, and I see this, and it's the opening to the first episode where it's the like newscast, the fake newscast. And it's so alarming. And that's a bad dream. That's a bad dream to me, where it's like, I think I'm watching a weird news channel, and then the guy is just kind of like starts to fade, and like there's no music. It's like, that's alarming. And it doesn't cut to an opening credit. It's just like, I hate that. I feel bad. I feel like that's like I've had that nightmare where I just watched a weird TV show and I'm like, and then it starts to blank out, and then the Freddy lines, the colors come up like what would you call that? Like static, sort of, or like a please hold, like the emergency podcast. It's a Freddy emergency.
Like the test pattern.
I hate it. Oh my god, it's so scary to me. And so I watched that. I was like, I forgot about that. And I was like, oh no, don't care for this. This is upsetting me. So it gets me. It does get me. That did.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'll go next. I did enjoy watching this, but I enjoyed watching this not because I thought it was good, but because it actually felt like during the pandemic, I needed a super comfort show from my childhood. And if anyone followed me on Facebook, might remember I was constantly live tweeting in the middle of the night about Vampire Cop, a show called Forever Night. This had vibes of that. And so I watched it just like I watched Vampire Cop, going, my God, I don't know how anyone was scared or entertained by this, but I'm home, you know? Ed, what about you?
I agree with what Jenny said. Like, the opening was pretty cool, and I don't remember that part at all. But as the episode went on, I started to remember, like, it started to come back to me, and I'm like, all right, actually remember this now. I thought the box thing that Freddy was in the courtroom was pretty interesting. I don't know what the hell that was about.
Weird.
Yeah, it was very weird. And most of the episode, I was trying to figure out if that was Robert Englund or not, and because they wouldn't show his face, and it was kind of annoying the shit out of me. I would say that I think it was definitely him, because his like body, his like he's like a sexy skinny guy. I love him, and he would like some of his cadences, but then when he got like lit on fire, it was like all dialogue. And was stuntman!
Yummy. It was so weird.
Oh, stuntman! It was like freaking Beverly Hills Cop. Like when the whole thing guy gets thrown over the thing. It was ridiculous. But yeah, no, I think again, production value aside, because it's awful. Like it's really really bad.
Yeah.
And I was thinking along with the episode, Jason, when I had texted you earlier, is like this was, or actually Jenny, it was on our Facebook group, is that it made me think immediately like about how this show was kind of way ahead of its time in the sense of super popular film franchise. Let's tie in a TV show, but this is why you don't do it when you don't have the budget for it. Like if Max existed at this time, we would probably have gotten a really great Freddy's Nightmares. To be honest, like this show would have probably been phenomenal, but we didn't. It was just, again, Robert Shea's a producer and stuff, and Robert Englund, I know, was like involved. I think he even directed a few episodes and stuff like that. But It was interesting, and I did like seeing him in the makeup, but it was just the cop was so bad.
Yeah,
It
but you
kept
kind
taking
of
me out.
hate the cop a little bit.
Oh, he's an asshole because he was just so
Yeah.
worried about getting arrested. It wasn't really about the fact that he killed somebody. It was about he didn't want to get arrested.
No,
So then I was like, get
terrible,
him.
and like that should have been like Nancy's father, right? Like if we're looking at the lore,
where is
Yeah.
John Saxon?
Yeah.
Where is John Saxon? Where is Jesse's parents? Where are all the parents? Where is
John-
Andale?
Yeah.
Where are these people?
Oh my gosh.
That's the first thing.
Oh, Gondole.
What are the?
Her
what
mom.
are the-
I'm not using her name. That's who she is.
Like, what was John Saxon?
Andale.
What was John Saxon doing in 1980 that he couldn't be a part of this show? Nothing. The mother, that would have been so much
looking
better.
for money.
Jesse's parents, their parent, like holy shit, this is really that would have made it really cool
Couldn't
and
afford it.
really
Right.
tie it in better. Not just a bunch of random people yelling and screaming.
Maybe they were in the back being like, I don't know if we should do this, guys. And then the other parents were like, gung ho, let's go. We're all complicit.
Oh no, Jenny, I totally picture Mr. Thompson with a whiskey bottle there and hammered and ready to go for this shit. He was like,
think I
let's
would
burn
be.
this motherfucker.
If I were her, I would be too. I'd be like, let's, you do it.
Oh yeah.
I now just pictured that guy as Quint. Like, you got a Fred Krueger, huh? For 100, I'll kill him. For 200, I'll burn him alive.
Y'all know me.
Tim, you didn't get to weigh in. What were your thoughts on this episode overall?
Yeah, watching it since probably it aired, I might have dabbled one time like on YouTube when YouTube first got popular and saw it, but the two girls like hit me like with a wave. I'm like, oh shit, I remember these two. I don't know why the two kids. I was like, I remember these two kids, and I remember the one girl always saying, "If you kill him, he's coming back." I'm like, wait, how the fuck do you know? How do you know? And it's not explained how they know he's going to come back afterwards.
No.
Why wasn't he in the jumpsuit? Why would they let him wear the green sweater and the hat? That bothered me.
I don't know. Ask Todd Phillips, because apparently that happens in Joker as well. I'm
And-
sorry, I
oh,
have to
yeah,
stop.
good point.
My bad.
Okay, and overall, all right. Well, let's go scene by scene. We're gonna go scene. I'll get into it, but yeah, no, I mean, I actually kind of enjoyed it watching it today. I like if you want to call it the first half when they kill him. I like that half. I enjoyed that very much. I like just the Freddy lore. I enjoyed. Then it was like, all right, this is just getting really, really weird now. So
The toothache? You didn't like the toothache that was going on for like half the episode?
No. That's where I started peeking more towards the football games in my betting than I was watching the actual show. I was like, this is getting a little ridiculous now. So, but first half loved it. Second half, and I was like, okay, now we know why this wasn't going to last more than 2 seasons.
Yeah. By the way, so what's with Freddy
fair
just
enough.
going after people when his like doctor thing? He seems to have like a thing about being doctors and nurses, and I guess when you're at your most vulnerable again, in a way. I mean,
Subconscious nightmares.
right? Is that what it is? Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're usually put under, I guess, during that times. I don't know. Who knows? It was just a thing.
I
It
think it's
made
that,
me
but I
think
also
back to it
think-
again.
I also think that Freddy is really kind of pissed because he wanted to be a pediatrician, and clearly he was not really meant for that line of work. And then they burned him alive while he was getting his like GED to go back, and so now he's it's your nightmare, but it's his fantasy.
Well, he said it's his nightmare, so this was like ruined his dreams of becoming a pediatrician.
And that's
He was
it.
going
That's
to
exactly
night
what it is.
school and GED, like, he's
That's
going to
right.
night school and everything like that. He was studying really hard and stuff. And then these assholes just trap him in a nuclear power plant thing and they burn him alive. What a bunch of
I
inconsiderate.
love it's a nuclear
bastards.
power plant. Sons of bitches.
Oh, it'll change. It'll
Just let the
probably
men murder a
change. Maybe
couple
work-
children.
It is like, but the whole like the because I am a big fan of like all the backstory. So like drop it into there. Somebody forgot to sign in the first movie. The mom says someone forgot to sign something in the right place, the wrong
Search
wrong
warrant. Wasn't it
search warrant in the wrong search warrant. So that illegally. I am not a lawyer, Your Honor, but I watch true crime, and I guess that could possibly be like an argument. And in this one, they say no one read him his rights.
Yeah, I think it's around the
Is it both? Like no one signed the warrant, and someone's also like, no, we didn't read him his rights. That's a big deal. Throw the
Some
case out.
shitty.
Maybe-
Listen,
They have evidence. They have physical evidence. If I was a jury, I'd be like, I'm swayed.
Yeah,
I don't
Springwood PD needs to be reviewed and stuff. Like, what is going on?
And then, oh my gosh.
How great would it have been if it was Nancy's father who didn't read him his rights and signed the paper?
You have to live with that.
He was so gung-ho and just beat the shit out of Freddy, forgot to do all the cop stuff. That would have been great. Now you know why he drinks, because he's like, oh, I let Freddy Krueger go.
Yeah.
This cop's such a Boy Scout until he's not.
Yeah. I actually don't think he works in this. I think his character is a big problem, because you're right. He's a Boy Scout right up into the second he's not. And he's so milquetoast. Like, he's like, give me a John Saxon or someone like that, like grizzled, older, drinking, something interesting.
A little dirty.
Yeah, right. Give me I don't buy this guy taking the law into his own hands when he does. Like, it just doesn't add up. Whereas someone a little dirty, a little scummier, maybe, hey, just something about, hey, sometimes you have to skirt the rules. Then I buy it.
That's a good twist. If they're like, we're all here to burn him, and then John Saxon's like, guys, as a cop, you're not. This is illegal. This is like, no one's to be here in this room. But then, or like, kind of that's the fake out, and then he's like, "Now give me that can, and let me just start like drip," and he's like, "Oh no!"
I think that adds to it. When the cops like, listen, I did what I had to do to catch a pedophile, to catch him, to get him off the street. I did what I had to do, and I'm not, ashamed of it. Well, so guess what, asshole? He's free now because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and now it's your fault.
Yeah.
Starts the drinking, and that begins John Saxon 30 years drinking.
So it's safe to say we all really wanted John Saxon in this episode.
Yes.
And that would have changed everything.
I forgot about that, though. You're right.
But I think it's safe to say they blew the budget on Robert Englund and his makeup. Because that's the only thing that looks legit here.
Yes.
Everything else is garbage.
Yep.
Well, they learned the important lesson that they had to relearn in Freddy 2. Robert Englund makes this. You can't just hire someone, put him in a mask, and say, do the Freddy. And so, yeah, they had to blow their money on him. But come on, this is John Saxon in the 80s. Which we will. But like, they couldn't just get John Saxon in this. Come on.
Well, I actually, now that I was going to bring up, do you know who directed this episode?
Forgot about it.
I know Ginny does.
I forgot until I saw the thing, and I was like, oh yeah, Toby Hooper.
Of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist, fame.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Salem's Lot.
Just
pointing out
that's right.
And I think he did a good job with what he had. Like you said, with what he had. It's like, here's $1 million bucks. Make a pilot. 900 is for Freddy and Robert Englund. The rest is for the rest of the show. Good luck. And he did what he had to do.
This style is cooler, like with him in shadow silhouettes, like from behind. Because I don't know if Toby Hooper was like going to be the best director. Like even John Carpenter in the 90s was like pretty awesome. Wes Craven certainly was, but like Toby Hooper, he was like, I don't know. But I was like, this episode is like stylistically like great, and that's also, I don't know. Like I maybe the choice of not showing Freddy makes it better, but some cool stuff.
Yeah, the choice of not showing Freddy, we were also discussing too. So I also kind of just wonder if they were doing that on purpose to not mess with the Freddy Krueger in makeup illusion. Maybe, I don't know, because I really can't think of any other reason that would possibly.
This is before part 6. So Freddy's dead. They do that backstory where he is normal Robert Englund and like his flesh.
Mm-hmm.
This is before that, so maybe they just didn't want. We didn't want to know what he looked like. We know that he gets a close up on his teeth, and his teeth are rotten. That's it. And then otherwise, he's just like kind of slick back.
Yeah,
Robert Englund, slim guy.
Well, that makes sense then, because in Freddy's Dead, they're like, essentially, we're killing the character. Let's show what he actually looked like. We don't have to keep the fear distilled. And I agree with you, Ed, because at first I thought, like, there's no way that this is Robert Englund. I think I said that in the group, like, yeah, it's ridiculous. And then I was doing a little research. I'm like, I actually can't find anything that supports that. That has to be him. And so, Ed, it must be what you said. They just don't want to show his face.
That's the only thing that makes any kind of sense, because I mean, unless it's also budget concerns where they didn't want to take him in and out of his makeup, because he does appear in his makeup in the last couple of minutes. I mean, was it really that shoestring even for the time? I mean, it kind of looks like it. So.
No, he's a producer on the show, and then he shows up in makeup later seasons, and he's dropped in. As I've been watching a lot of Freddy's Nightmares later, like he's in episodes like the third season. He's like in every one almost, but the first like 2 he's not. So he's. I think it was maybe a makeup issue or just like maybe mystery. Maybe it was mystery.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
All right. Any closing thoughts on this? So we can get to Dream Master.
Twins. I love twins. Me and my twin sister loved that the fact that they were blonde twins. We were like, it's us.
Yes.
I liked
that was pretty awesome.
I liked when they were showing the pictures in the courtroom of the kids. I know it sounds. I don't mean to sound sick.
Nope.
But I like to hear the crimes. I like to put it to the evil that is Freddy. And this is the 5-year-old girl. We only could identify her by her teeth. This is a 6-year-old boy. I'm like, Jesus, it's a little rough here.
And later in the seasons too, they'll be like, oh, you didn't remember Freddy Krueger, like from our high school? Yeah, he grew up and like molested. He was a child molester, like a murderer. But they said it out loud on this like TV show, but like never in the movies would they say he was the really horrific things. Probably
they didn't really say molester, right, until the remake, right?
Yeah, but in the TV show they said it. They said it, but never in any movie do they say it.
Well, I like that aspect to it. And again, isn't the guy living in Nancy's house? Why is that house? Was it the house, or was I seeing things in the drawing?
I was trying to figure that out too, but it also like the way the house looks again is very Nightmare on Elm Street 4, with the green and yellow lights and everything. And everything is like kind of ratty, but yet bright colored at the same time. And I'm like, no one lives in this house. Like, stop with this crap. No one lives in this house. And and plus him, he walks out like super vanilla. And I'm like, you definitely don't live in this house. Stop this.
Oh, and the one final thing we can't get answered is: does Freddy live in the boiler room? Why is he always running back to the boiler room?
They do. This is where he lives.
Does he actually live there? Okay, well, that makes a little more sense than that he actually lives in the boiler room.
I don't know. I don't because whenever we get to the 6th one, they'll talk about that. Like,
well, the first one says he used to bring his kids to the boiler room.
There. Yeah.
So I'm
spiritually,
he lives in a double wide somewhere. Like he lives in a double wide somewhere, as a normal Freddy. But then he pulls the kids in there to kill them at night. But then he's like, he gets out of jail. First of all, the fact that he walked out of jail the way he did, like, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna get your kids now. And he just walks over and runs to the boiler room, and he's like starts talking this shit. I'm like, this is a little odd. Jason,
does that remind you of something that we talked about the other day? How criminals can just walk around the courtroom and stuff like that with no problems.
Is this the joke?
I'm not.
Yes, I'm Jenny. I'm sorry.
Like, I don't know. Is it a shared?
I don't care.
Is it a shared delusion we had?
Yes, maybe it's Foley.
I'm not gonna see it, so I don't care.
Yeah, drop it all.
Yeah, I'm not gonna see it.
We're not. You can go if you're watching us. You can go and watch the episode of Granny's Peach Tea 173. You can hear me and Jason curse left and right for about an hour and a half about this film. Joker, Foley.
I said some
stop. I need happy times like Dream Master.
Maybe the Foley News. Maybe that stands for number 2, like shit. Maybe it's like this is a piece of shit.
Yes, that's where we want. Spoiler alert. Let's go. Come on, give me the happy movie now. Come on.
All right.
About the child.
All right, let's go. Let's Dream Master it up. Let us Dream Master it up. All right. So, Ed, I know you've told the story before on the first episode, but just in case there are people who are tuning in now who didn't listen to the first episode, I think you need to tell yours because your whole thing about your affinity for this franchise comes from your experience with this movie. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of eerie because Tim and I, I'm sure have discussed this, but Tim had this similar experience with Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors instead. But I was 9 years old at the time, and I was temporarily living in Long Island, and my mother, who I mentioned, kind of would watch these movies with me, the first 3 on the couch and stuff, but she's like hiding behind a pillow and doesn't want to watch it. Yet I'm like with my G.I. Joe sitting like in front of the TV, just like staring into like how mesmerized I was and probably like frightened at the same time. But she took me to the movies to see this, and I went and I was like obsessed with it. and then I think she was going to play bingo like next door, and I was like, I insisted I wanted to stay and watch it again. So I stayed. I probably didn't want to go with her to see bingo, and people were cleaning the theater, yada yada. And I guess they just let this 9-year-old kid alone and stuff. And I probably went to go get more popcorn or something and just sat there and watched the movie again, like back to back. And I was just like all about it. And it had led to shortly after this when I had the poster of Freddy on my wall in my bedroom, which looking back on it was probably not a great idea, but I mean, whatever. No, but I mean, I also think it ties into the commercialization of Freddy at the time. I mean, like, I was like all in, but like, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever, but yet was in a weird way like frightened. So it was kind of like this adrenaline thing to it. But then I don't know, you get past it. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. And then I think back to like, it was like, my mother was pretty cool about that. She kind of took a 9-year-old to go see Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Master and was like, oh yeah, go watch it again and come back next door into the church where I'm playing bingo.
Love it. That's the kind of 80s mom I want to be. I swear to you.
And I gotta know, did you have like a half-smoked cigarette with the ash? Like, all right, Mom is gonna go play some bingo.
Oh, she smoked.
That's how my mother would roll.
Yeah, exactly. I have no doubt about that. That's where it went. And then, yeah, I definitely sat down but I told you, I have a lot of questions about the workers in the theater. Like, what was going through their head? Like,
kid likes Freddy. Little kid likes Freddy. All right.
He really likes Freddy, I guess. He's just gonna stay again, I guess. So no, I was all about it. Yeah, and of course, I have this like nostalgia thing about it as like a kid and everything, and like specifically this movie. Like even rewatching it now is like, you know, my love for it came in because I told you I rewatched it right before we did our Joker thing, and I told Jason, I was like, you know something? I think as an adult, I don't like this as much as I did as a kid. Like I still like it, but and then the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, that's bullshit. I fucking love this movie. It's like, I'm blaming Joker. I fucking adore this movie.
Don't let Joker make you cynical.
No, never
that. Tim, do you have a connection to this particular movie?
Oh, well, this one. I Dream Warriors. I stayed 3 times in a row. This one I did stay twice in a row. This is where, like you said, this is where Freddy stopped being more scary and started being more funny, more commercial, more, sunglasses wearing, and like, you want to put him on your jacket and hang, like I said, you want to hang him on. You don't want to hang Freddy from number 1 on your wall. You just don't want to do that. But cool Freddy, that Freddy from 3 and 4, you're like, I want to put that motherfucker on my wall. He's off, that kind of thing. Yeah. No, I saw it in the theater. This was the last one that I saw. No, I saw 5 in the theater.
You didn't see Freddy's Dead in the theater?
I did not see Freddy's.
I
did see Freddy's Dead in the theater. I did. All right,
with the 3D glasses and everything?
Yes, with the 3D glasses.
You did? I'm so jealous.
I'm sorry, I did.
That
was the last one. So up until Freddy and Jason, yes, Freddy. Yeah. So, all right, no, but I got this is my 3rd favorite of the franchise. So, I still like it, and I just watched it 3 hours ago. Only thing is, it's real fast, awesome. And you said it too, quick.
They're all an hour and a half.
I don't remember it being, but not only quick, it's paced.
The pace is nonstop.
Here's Alice. Here's her brother. Here's this guy. Here's this guy. Dead. Perfect. You're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, and I felt that way about Dream Warriors too. Like, they go so fast.
Yeah. The pacing of this movie I thought was really on point because you're right. It just a lot of death goes on in this movie, but it doesn't drag. It's boom, boom, boom. It hits the pacing. It hits the beats. Ginny, do you have a connection to this movie?
I think I said it before too. This is the first one I saw all the way through on TV, kind of by accident, like post Halloween. They were showing them getting ready for like a bat mitzvah, but we watched a little bit of end of 2. End of 2 happens, goes right into 4, and Sandy and I go, well, we saw like Freddy already. We can probably finish this, and we liked horror, but we still had traumatized from Freddy as children. But then we're like 13, we're 14, 13. We're like, it's fine. Maybe he's goofy. He's actually quite sillier than we remember. We watched. It starts with that opening song. I swear to you. And when we were like, "This is the best movie we've ever seen in our life," and we were like, "We can do it." And we just like went out as soon, like literally went to the video store, rented like every one of them, and we had knowledge though of like from like be it like VH1 specials. We kind of like knew we had context, but this movie just like it won everything, and it's still like I can quote it all the way through. All the songs, soundtracks, every soundtrack is banging. All the actors I'm like in love with. I like it's to me. This is my favorite. When you're like, what's your favorite Friday the 13th? It's Friday. You know this. What's your Nightmare on Elm Street? Like it's this one. It is.
I can see that.
Nice. Wow. All right. I don't really have a history with this one because I didn't watch these as a kid. I have no nostalgia for them, so I think it's interesting because I get to watch them just with my adult eyes. I've only seen this movie twice. Like the first time when I finally sat down and did the full watch of the series, right? And it wasn't the first time I had seen them all. I had seen 1, I had seen 2, I had seen 3, and I had seen 5. Actually, it's my gap of this. I've seen them all like more than this one. So I don't really have a connection to it. But I will say this. I think this is a real fun movie and there's a lot to like here. But I also want to say that this is where what I call the Bugs Bunnification of Freddy starts. He's not Bugs Bunny in this, but this is where it starts, where he literally, because in the last one, in Freddy's Dead, he literally drops a fucking piano on someone. Like he was literally Bugs Bunny in that one. And I think it starts here. I don't blame this movie for it, but it is something I do want to discuss.
Yeah, so the I'm sorry, go.
And we will.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
This is I'm like a wine drinker, so this is my first taste. But I've also acquired like the better version. You know, I've got taste, but this is a perfect. This to me, this is everything. I love this movie.
Well, I was gonna say is that this is kind of. I feel the feeling this is the movie. This is the Freddy that I think most people think Freddy Krueger is like throughout the entire thing. Like if you had to pick one, this is who Freddy
100%.
thinks everyone thinks he is. Like that he does always have a lot of screen time. He had 95% of his dialogue is one-liners, which in this movie they absolutely are, and that's fine. It's something that I clocked, and I was like, wow. And Tim, you'll appreciate this. I compared it to Tango and Cash, where it was just constant one-liners. So me and you were going to discuss that. That whole movie is like almost all one-liners.
I want to read the script of the Tango and Cash. It's just literally one-liner. It says they don't talk. I think there's no conversation in that movie. It's one-liner.
No, but a lot of Freddy Krueger's lines in this are all one-liners. How sweet, fresh meat, and like the whole thing. Like it's almost every single thing. I think until almost the end of the movie, like he's getting through conversations briefly with like Kristen and Alice and stuff. But it's all one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
It's in some ways remarkable, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start doing that.
No, and I will say this. I think the reason this became the Freddy that everyone knows is because the one-liners were funny. Like, how sweet, fresh meat, you can check in, but you can't check out. So many of these one-liners I knew of without ever seeing these movies. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and this was the highest grossing one in the film in the franchise until Freddy vs. Jason.
Probably why I liked it when I was 14, because it all felt a little safe, a little accessible, a little less like traumatizing, even though there's still and also the 80s sheen of it all with music. But I think that, unlike Dream Warriors, where they're all distinct characters, it's funny one-liners, it's great death sequences. Those deaths have weight. Or like people are like, we have to talk about this in therapy now. Like, let's go. And this movie, they're like, we gotta go. We gotta move on. Or like, our friends died. What are we gonna do? Or who's
There's
next?
no time for that shit. They're just like, listen, we gotta go.
No.
But I think what a testament that they kind of like, I don't know. I like the characters, and when they die, you're like, oh, but also we can move on. We can kind of like bounce.
but that ties into what they, what I also was texting you guys about, because I told Jason too, like it's got me down this rabbit hole. Like that Rennie Harlan was just kind of like, he literally quote described Freddy Krueger at this point in the franchise that he was the James Bond of this franchise. Like the fans are coming to cheer for him and see him. So you almost have to like make it like that, where you're almost like he's, I don't know if you want to go to anti-hero exactly, but But Jenny, on me and you especially, like it kind of worked. Where it was just like we're children, and to me, like we're cheering for Freddy now, and it's like, wait a second, the guy who kills and molests children, let's go, let's do it, guy, like kill the stupid teenagers.
Oh,
like,
exactly. Or it's like, I was like, oh, kung fu bug stuff. That's that's fine. A beach, that's okay. But then but the first movie, slashing girls when she's vulnerable in her nightgown. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, okay, we're just in high school. We're all having a good time.
Well, see, Ginny, I was the opposite, and Eddie, you're probably the same way. I didn't go in liking any of these kids. I just wanted to see the fun way they were going to die. Yes. Like, oh, this chick can't breathe. She's gonna suffocate. This guy doesn't like bugs. You're gonna die like a, yeah. It's just like I can't wait to see how they die. So I never got attached to a character. The teenagers. It was always like, okay, let's see what Freddy's gonna do in this one. I can't wait to see what Freddy does. That was really it for me.
Yeah, I guess the only and I guess it was more even this time because again we're doing this like a critical type thing as like adults now is like there's a connection to Kristen, Kincaid, and Joey because they're the Dream Warriors and like last like kids from the last movie, but then they're gone like that, and he disposes of them so quick, especially Kincaid and Joey. Like they don't stand a chance.
He kills Kincaid and Joey within 5 minutes of each other. Like, he was busy that night. He came back from the dead, and he's like, all right, I got fucking kids to kill. I got 3 on my list. Let me knock 2 of them out tonight. Like, he was a busy man.
And Your Honor, I love them. As soon as we start the movie off pretty quick, we start with the hauntingness of, like, a suburbia that I knew very well. And when we get introduced to those guys, I didn't see the third one, but I knew that they were in that movie. And I attached them. It was 2004. Picture it. We shouldn't have liked the 80s in 2004. But I was like, these guys, I was like, these guys are cool. And they're like, we're all buddies, right, guys? Like, we're all looking out for each other. I was like, oh, all right, okay. When I know Freddy's somewhere, like, where is he? And like, then the suspense builds. And then later they die. And you're like, well, I didn't know you anyway. But I still like them. Like, I don't know. I think when they introduce these characters, it's to me, I latched on pretty quick as opposed to 2 and even like 1, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think because in Dream Warriors, like we talked about last time, and in this, the kids have more personality. And these, like, they have an entire little thing. You, like Tim mentioned, you learn what they like. You learn what they don't like. Like in the other ones, it was just kind of like it was so dark, like there was no time for that. Like we don't know anything about Glenn's likes. I mean, I guess we talked about he likes baseball or football, maybe, I don't know, and then we know
women
and women, and that's about it. And then what do we learn really about Jesse? He moved into town and he's
maybe gay.
He's dealing with some stuff with
he's in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. And then but these movies, like they started to the evolution of the franchise from Dream Warriors to this, because it does evolve to where he starts killing them more in this, about like he toys with them even further.
I mean, they all just felt like it was so interesting. Again, as like I was like a theater kid, 14 years old, and they were diverse. They were diverse in interests and like likes. And to me, I was like, and a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Maybe like because Jesse or Joey and Kincaid were on Kristen's side, not in her clique. But like really, all Kristen had was her boyfriend, and then her girlfriends. And then Dan comes in. But as a kid, I was like, I just have girlfriend. I don't have like, we're not dating. Maybe one has a boyfriend, but that's the group. And sometimes they're smarter and sometimes they're like in a sport or whatever. And some, I latched on immediately. To me, I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot more. I'm with you, Jenny. There's more investment in this with them.
I agree with I latched on to the first 3 kids who died because they were connected to the third one. As you remember, I'm a big Kincaid fan from the third one. I actually really like that character.
Yeah.
Hey, they did my boy dirty. They did my man dirty in this, being the first to die. Joey, I forgot, but then I remembered he was the guy who Freddy was like had toying with. Like the guy who was really into women.
He couldn't talk. He couldn't talk, and now he can talk.
Now he can talk. Right. I was actually completely fine with what happens to him. My only question was, what does his mother think when she finds him literally drowned inside
And I've
of
always
his
said that.
unbroken
I've always said that.
Oh, I have
Like,
many
what do you
questions
say?
about how a couple of things look in reality. But yeah, what does the mother think? Like, he went for a swim or something? Like, what was that?
Yeah. What do you
well-
think? Like, yeah, it's got to be supernatural.
Nothing is
One would
supernatural.
assume.
He was trying something. Drugs, man.
That fucking MTV, man. It just gets you every time.
They did
You know,
it.
I feed the fish. I feed the fish. I listen to watching it. I feed the fish.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They said that. They said
Every time they show on TV, they play the same commercial, of MTV commercial, like each time that it's playing in his room.
Oh my gosh. So I've like never clocked that till you just.
It's just gibberish. That's why it's
I know.
fish, gibberish. I've seen it too many times. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I mean, clearly. Any other thoughts about Freddy himself before we move on to the kids? We'll take the kids one by one in the order they die, and then talk about the final girl, which, really should have been what I've been doing the whole time, but I wasn't. But now I got it. The format is there.
This is a hard
anything before Freddy?
I
Anything
love
before
this movie. This is like kind of my least favorite Freddy, if that's a hot take to say. I think so. I think this rank's a bit like because he is so cheesy, and I like the kids more. I like the plot more. I like the soundtrack more. I like some of the deaths more. I think Freddy is just like, to me, it's like more. This is basic Freddy. This is the basic. This is such a. He's not cheesy. He gets cheesier later. To me, this is like a little too bland for me. Either you're super serious, or I want you super cheesy, or weirdly dark. So that's what I'll say.
Wow.
I guess regarding Freddy, though, I think I actually really like this Freddy, to tell you the truth, because I kind of, and again, I guess watching Freddy go, like, he's probably at his most powerful in this movie. To tell you the truth, like, he's getting a bunch of souls now. I feel like he's starting to learn how this whole thing works. And even that line that I had quoted in Facebook message thing, like, when he gets face to face with Alice at the end, when she's all super powered up, he's like, I've been guarding my gate a long time, bitch. And I wonder if he started guarding the gate in the first episode of Freddy's Nightmares, and we saw him. Like, is that when they give him his powers? Like, hey, this is your thing now. You need to do this. And yeah, that's the thing. And like the thing at the end of these movies, he dies, and by the final 2 minutes of the movie, he's already back, and then we're ready to go to the next one.
Oh, yeah, they're not even pretending. They might as well be putting the title card on. Fred Krueger will be back in A Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Skyfall,
Exactly.
and especially you, Eddie, because you're one of the bigger fans. Are you okay with, no explanation of how he comes back, just the pissing of the dog? So, are you okay
Personally,
with this?
I hate it. I still love this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Each time, but like this time around, watching how he again dies at the end of every movie, and then he just is back by the last couple of frames, and that started in the first one. This isn't like something new. Like, it keeps happening in every single movie. So I just kind of think that it's like the way he is when he's fighting them. Oh, your power really hurts me. And he plays along with it. And then he's like, I've had enough of you, and I'm going to fucking just kill you like that. So I think his power kind of builds up each movie. And in this one, this is super cocky Freddy, who knows no one stands a chance against him until he sees like Alice as sort of the adversary. But then we know at the end, she sees him again. So it's just like, it's like a flush wound again, like Last Action Hero. Like, this is not really that big a deal. So I don't know. It's part of him returning from fire dog piss sets the tone for the fun of this movie. Because this is probably the most fun of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Until like Freddy vs. Jason, I think is a blast.
And I'm sure Ed knows, but we do know what famous actor came up with that scene, right?
The pissing fire. Well, I know there was a conversation with James Cameron, which I was actually gonna. Yes.
And that's exactly who came up with it.
No.
He said, how are you bringing Freddy back this time? I don't know. You should make a dog piss fire and have him come back. Okay, done.
Oh my god.
James Cameron brought Freddy back.
It's funny. Because I believe that's exactly how the script of Avatar 2 was created.
Uh-huh. That sounds about right.
Just piss fire? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, I would say shit fire, more like
someone pissed fire, and there it was.
But Tim,
movie.
thankfully though, he didn't find the Titanic yet, because then it would
Exactly.
have been like, I got this plan.
I'm surprised it would
Bring Freddy back underwater. He comes out.
Don't take my idea.
Water. I said that would have been the whole thing. That's
No,
the end of it.
All water. Freddy's swimming around there.
I now want Freddy in
entire
every James Cameron movie.
Oh, that would be.
Come with me if you want to live, bitch.
Put Freddy in all of them. Be making better, I'll tell you that much. Freddy killing Avatar? Oh, I'd be there first day. First day I'd be there watching that movie.
Yeah, so that's the explanation
In
of kind of
3D.
like why he's quipping so much and stuff like that. Because I think he's just insanely overpowered and cocky at this point. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I like
it could be
that.
my rationale
Yeah.
for it. But
He's
it's
living. I think, he's like thriving. He's truly thriving.
Yeah, and he's also excited to the fact that, number one, think about it. He first wipes out the last of the Elm Street kids like that in the first 20 minutes of the movie, if even that long. And then he has Alice bring him a whole new batch of souls to keep regenerating him, to keep, driving up his power level, basically.
Oh.
So Freddy's in a good mood in this movie.
He is. He's very happy. Yeah, I like this Freddy. I have to admit, I do. This is the Freddy, like you guys say, that I think of when I think of Freddy. Ironically, because I've only seen this movie twice, but I think that goes to show exactly how huge this movie was for pushing the character of Freddy Krueger in the forefront. Because I knew so much about this movie from osmosis, because I knew people who watched them and talked about them, and through commercials and stuff. So, even though I do prefer personally the darker Freddy from the first one, even darkish, because he's still quipping yet in 3. I think 3 for me is my favorite balance of I'm having a bit of fun here, but I'm also a serious serial killer. We're gonna make a little jokes, but we're also gonna have some serious pain. This, he's just kind of I'm having a blast. It's like he's on fucking spring break.
Yeah, he is. And doing a Jaws thing through the water and everything like that.
literally on spring break.
That's what I'm saying. He's super cocky now, man.
He's had time to catch up on movies.
Yes. I'm sure he enjoyed Jaws.
Anything else by Freddy before we jump into the kids?
I'm sure he'll pop back around. No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Freddy never does.
All right. So our first kid is Kincaid. Kincaid pretty much he gets sucked into the dream. He just gets sucked into dreams by Alice with his dog, which I love, whose name's Jason. And I know that people think it's because of Friday the 13th, but really, it's for me. They named it after me. Sticking by that. And then, that's the dog that pisses fire. Freddy comes back. Kincaid just gets knifed. He's just got no shot. And what I respect about this death is Kincaid literally goes, he knows he's dead. He's like, Freddy's back. He's trying to warn people, right? He's accepting his death.
Yeah.
Which is a great shot, by the way.
It is. It actually
Shot
is.
when it pulls away.
You're on mute, Jenny.
And then just abruptly comes in with him getting fucking stabbed. I think it's a great shot.
I agree.
I enjoyed that.
I know it's upset. It is upsetting because I do love Kincaid. I loved him when he was introduced too, but it's just I feel bad. His dog.
Freddy didn't kill
Yeah,
Jason
that
there.
dog. No, he doesn't fuck with the dog, right? He leaves him
No.
be.
No, the dog leaves.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck this. I don't know this guy. I don't like this guy. I'm out of
Animals
here.
don't do anything to Freddy. Don't do it it's Michael Myers territory. Is what you're
Yes,
getting
it's true.
into.
Yeah, Michael.
Michael Myers.
Michael don't kill babies. Jason don't kill little kids. Freddy don't kill dogs. I guess that's what.
Yes.
He's a dog guy. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone has limits.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the second death we discussed was Joey. He's the one who, again, falls prey to his libidinal urges because he has a dream that there is a hot chick trapped in his waterbed. And again, going to your point, Ed, Freddy does this just to fuck with him because he didn't have to. Because he looks down, the woman disappears, and he goes, "Oh my!" And then Freddy just comes up and goes, "Ha ha ha!" and starts stabbing him.
It's how's this for a wet dream, and then just like pushes him down.
It's time.
That's
We
it.
got to wrap it up. Freddie knows
That's
we're on
it.
a time schedule. He's like, get a little bit. I'm not going to labyrinth with you this time. All right, I learned my lesson.
He's got his checklist. He popped up out of the ground. Go, oh, this one's still alive. This one and this one. Gotta get them 3 right now. No fucking around. He's like, let's see, Kincaid, check. This kid likes blondes. Let's go. Let's go do this.
Oh.
I'm gonna get him again with it, and we're not doing a coma this time. You're fucking done.
I don't know why I did that the first time, but I won't do it again. I can assure you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna play with my food too much. Not with these 3.
No. He's got more food to play. This is leftovers. No one plays with leftovers.
Exactly. Leftovers you just throw out and start on the new stuff. That's exactly what they were, the 3 of them, leftovers.
Exactly.
Well, I would say,
Exactly.
in fairness, though, he thought he was killing the last of the Elm Street. I actually kind of think he thinks this was going to be it. And then until Kristen brings Alice into this, and then he's like, oh.
Maybe get an idea.
And that's what the line comes, how sweet, fresh meat.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, now I want to hear what happens if that was, like, what would Freddy do? Like, he can't kill the Elm Street kids.
Me too.
Retire?
Maybe I'll go watch some TV. I'll see you guys later.
I'm gonna retire.
Oh.
Pulls the hat off, pulls the glove off. It's in the recliner.
It's like, so I'm gonna go watch Jaws 2. I'm gonna go watch Jaws 2.
That's right.
That's
There's this show called Dynasty the kids have been talking about.
Yeah.
Dynasty. Deb, get a VCR.
Yeah, well, I also want to know how does Dynasty interfere with that particular math class?
You know damn well when we had to watch TV live, we would not do homework because we put it off.
Mm-hmm.
The kids these days are worse.
Yeah, but that girl isn't doing her homework anyway.
I had Buffy. I wasn't gonna not do. Wasn't doing my homework. I had Buffy to I had class. I had sports, and then Buffy, and I wasn't doing homework.
Yeah, and she is told to get a VCR. Like,
yeah, I could have taped
like
it.
Sheila tells her that.
If I did my homework, it was before 8. That's definitely for sure. All my shows came on at 8. So if it wasn't done by 8 o'clock, it wasn't getting done.
It wasn't going to get done. Exactly.
All right, then Kristen is Tuesday night, not Patricia Arquette.
I think
also
I
not
like
Rosanna Arquette.
I love this Kristen more than other hot take. I like them in different ways, but I think because she was my first one, I think she looks like a little bit like Madonna. I love her style. I love that she was like smoking. I have no idea. I love her and Rick. I was like 14. I was like, this is the height of relationships. And then, and then she died. Guys. I kind of liked her. She's not a good actress. Not a good actress. No. But I like her. I like the vibe because the other Kristen was more innocent, and this one was like cooler. So.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, even though, Patricia Arquette's the better actress and everything, but like, yeah, I can see this. This Kristen's also not in a hospital, like in a psych ward essentially. Like, she's out in high school, and we see her with a boyfriend and her friends, and she's socializing. But yeah, the whole thing with Tuesday Night, who was the recast that she's Kristen in this movie, it's weird because like Patricia Arquette, like I read conflicting information about why the switch, and I'm sure Jenny, I'm sure you're well aware of it too. Yeah, there was the one hand where it was like, Patricia Arquette was like moving on to other roles, and she wanted more like real acting stuff. Not that she hated horror movies supposedly, but she was trying to like move on. And then the other report was like that she
was pregnant?
Pregnant?
Exactly. And she probably, maybe, yeah. I don't doubt that. Yeah,
so they had to recast her. There was really no choice because they couldn't pull the Scarlett Johansson in Age of Ultron move where they shot her like from the like waist up and everything. No. That's it. Like you weren't getting that in this.
Apology.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. And then it was that Tuesday Night got the role. There were rumors that she was sleeping with the director, Rennie Harlan.
Oh God!
Allegedly. But she denies it.
Yeah, and then she said, and then
she shuts it down. Yeah.
Then I heard Tuesday Night, and her guy who played her boyfriend Rick
Yeah.
were dating, like did hook up. And I was like, that, yes, I approve of that.
And that Joey and Kincaid didn't really like her. They weren't being welcoming
and
and
I
stuff.
get that. And that checks out.
Yeah.
So they weren't acting. They're like, bitch, stop bringing me to your dream. I don't like you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, basically. But I also kind of
Bitch, get
wonder
this
what
movie.
happened first. Yeah, did she get the role of Kristen and then was like, hey, you know something? I think you should do the title song as well. Like, you should just sing. I don't know how does that go? Because I also was reading that she didn't know that it was a title song until she saw the movie.
The soundtrack is banging though, so maybe they were just like, "Hey, we're gonna sneak." Like, I don't know, but she must. I think also she did have album. Like, she put out songs before she got cast because I was a dork and I like love all of her '80s songs are great. But I think maybe that was a thing where they're like, "Oh, you sing? Do you want to do something?" Because MTV.
You want to be in the movie?
We need a blonde.
Yeah, like Patricia Arquette. Yeah.
How am I missing? She has more than one song.
I mean, this is
they're not good. They're not like bangers like this.
Oh, I was like,
why do you want to treat me so bad when you know I love you?
It's like, where was I during this Tuesday night
I don't know if they're popular.
No, Nightmare is the one that is the one that anyone like really knows from this movie. And I actually thought the cover of it is great because it's basically a spinoff of her picture with Freddy that gets sent to Alice and stuff. So that was actually pretty fun though.
I agree. That was fun. I'm actually this is I don't mind this actress at all. I thought she was fine. She's not with us for very long, but this is the one who I'm remembering correctly, right? This is the one whose mother essentially kills her by drugging her food. And we talked about like how we were all joking like, well, no, we can't mourn these kids. We got to keep moving on. That's literally what her mother says to her. Her mother's like, you haven't been sleeping and you've been acting weird. And she's like, Mom, my friends just died. And she was like, all right, now I've drugged you. It's like, what?
Give you a Percocet. Here's something to take the edge off. You could have done that.
Yeah, so we know her mother is one of the worst human beings ever from the third one. So she wasn't getting any better in the fourth one.
Yeah, she had to forget them on the way, which of course she says again.
I swear, my sister used to have a joke. She doesn't say it in the movie, but when she like gets drugged and she's like, "Mother, did you drug me?" I feel like she was like, "Kristen, like I'm like, what did she say?" She's like, I'm just like so frustrated with you. Or she's like, "I had to. You need to get some sleep." But me and my sister like imagine that she's saying, "Damn it, Kristen, I'm just so damn busy," because she seems like a woman of business. So we're like, "Mother, you drugged me? Damn it, Kristen, I'm just so damn busy." Like, pass out.
I also have a logistical question regarding these two. So when they, of course, this is where it's gonna go this time. But so we see Kristen and she takes she takes basically her whole crew to the house, the Nancy's old house, which looks ironically exactly like the one she made with the ice cream sticks at the end of in the third one, which I don't know how that house turned into that now. But so that's happening. They're looking in the house. Obviously, nobody lives there. But then there's a camera shot that makes it look like it's a point of view shot. So who the fuck was that? So is somebody in there? And number two is, how does her mother come strolling down the street and scream the on delay thing to get her away from? How did she know she was there? There were no cell phone. There was no what? There was no. She's not a doctor. There's no beeper.
Someone asked the neighbor where they were going. Went to school. Was like, "Where's my daughter?" I don't know.
I had a lot of questions about this. Is she following Kristen around or something like that? Like waiting to drug her?
I'll tell you, he was in the house.
Maybe that's it.
Michael Myers.
The kids were dead. Yeah.
Michael Myers was in the house. He's always in the house. He's always in the house looking outside. That
is true. That's a very Michael Myers thing for some weird reason.
And it's weird because they never address it at any point.
Michael Myers looked at the window and shit, those aren't my kids. I gotta go. See you later.
Yeah. He woke up one day, was like,
I would have loved.
Wait, this isn't my house.
These aren't my kids. This is not my locker.
I would have loved it.
I gotta go.
Donald
This
Pleasance
isn't Haddonfield.
crossover. Just Kristen, get your ass out of there.
Literally.
It's fine. It's fine. It's not my house.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because that's what On Delay does. That's her version of get your ass out of here. It's On Delay. But how the fuck does she know? Is she hunting Freddy like Loomis is hunting Myers? I don't know.
Well, she supposedly was part of that crew that murdered him. So I guess maybe
She was?
I don't know. I'm reaching here.
Now, do you picture like the guy getting ready to set Freddy on fire? She goes, "Andale, I gotta go."
Yeah, Andale. I'm like, how great would that have been?
Burn that
Andale.
fucker already, Andale.
Truly.
Now I picture
fur coat on and shit.
Yeah, but no, it's even worse. I picture they've lit him up with gas. They're about to burn him with the match, and someone goes, "Wait a minute, guys! I think he's done some black magic. He's gonna come back and kill our Andale already. Get it over with. I got my kids to
come
pick
on.
up. All right."
Blah blah blah. Soliloquies. Here we go. Paragraphs. We don't need it.
But she adds to the whole thing we keep talking about in all these movies. Like the parents are just completely fucking clueless about anything. Because Kristen does say, like, you just murdered me. Like as she's falling asleep, which by the way, I don't know. Yeah, what did she give her when she was falling asleep while walking down the stairs?
Alka-Seltzer, but it was God. It had to be like.
Say, I've taken melatonin plenty of times.
Benadryl.
No, he gave her something hard.
No, I think she she gave her from her own personal stash of like illegally prescribed because it's the 80s and you can get anything you want, like real like Valium or something like that.
Oh, it's just heroin. Go to sleep. Probably how it was.
Still something to help you sleep.
But now,
Still heroin, what?
We're talking about Joey, right? It does make sense now. Kincaid, heart attack in the real world because he just clutched his chest.
Mm-hmm.
This one smoked. She burned herself to death in the bed. All logical things to say in the real world. How the fuck did Joey get in the waterbed then?
It was drugs. It was MTV, man.
Tim,
We're conservative. You know it.
We've been trying to figure these things out with each of the deaths since the first one, because even with is it Rob who gets like hung in the jail cell and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did that work? I also have a lot of questions about later on about the death of the movie. Like, what does that look like in real life? And I also have also logistical questions. I want to know who was sleeping.
They've also just.
All right.
Yeah.
Something to note before we move on from Kristen, her death is what gives us the very famous Freddy on the beach with the sunglasses because she's dreaming she's on a beach. Freddy, he must have just seen Jaws because you have the Jaws thing where his hand is going through the water and then the sand. And then this is where she brings Alice in, right? And transfers the Dream Master power.
The ability to bring
concept.
people into your dreams. Yeah, she shoots like this fireball at her. That goes through Freddy.
I think
also.
It does, yeah. Which means I don't know that. I let's not complicate it even more. But my issue with that is just this. I think it's a cool concept. I think this movie just goes explain things. Fuck you. Like, why does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that happen? We've watched this woman pull people in from her dream, or this girl pull people into her dreams constantly. And in this instance, where it is, and she has no control over it, the Dream Master power just jumps. Like, I don't know. I'm not. There could have been 3 lines to resolve that. Give just a little something.
Also, or also like, don't be like because she's like ADR. I give you my power. It should be like a weirdly like Alice is like takes it from her maybe because she's on the verge of death, and it's Alice's power is that she's absorbing when you are dying. Like, I get your energy or whatever it is. So like maybe she's just like,
right,
no, I'll save you. Wait, and then like maybe every other death scene should be like, I'll save you. Oh no, I can't. And then she just like is like, I don't know, weirdly roguing it, like taking their powers in a way.
Yeah, because Kristen's the only one who gives Alice her power before she starts collecting them, like the was it Gaia and Secret Invasion, but
oh yeah, I know, literally.
She starts getting super. She's pretty powered up by the time she fights Freddy at the end of this movie, with random powers too.
Extra.
Yeah, like did she get? She didn't get Kincaid's strength, I'm assuming, or Joey's ability to scream.
Because that's not Kristen's power. It's Alice's power.
Yeah, which by the way, Kincaid didn't really have in this movie. By the way,
he wasn't strong.
He wasn't like he didn't throw cars at Freddy.
No.
He pushed the car, but didn't throw the car.
Yeah. How great would that have been? He starts throwing cars at Freddy in the middle of the fucking thing.
All right, so that brings us to the new crop, the fresh meat, so to speak, because Alice escapes the dream, but then Freddy's kind of realizes, oh wait, something's going on. I'm going to say Alice is the final girl because Freddy kind of realizes he needs her to bring in these people, which I think is interesting. I think that's a really interesting conceit. Like, oh, I'm going to torture the hell out of you, but I actually can't kill you until the end because I need you to bring me more people. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to this movie for that because I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, she's a good foe for him. Or he like wants her and he won't kill her right away. He's like, I can use you.
Yeah.
Like I got, and I love Alice and I love Alice so much.
Yeah, the
No,
entire
I know
scene,
she is your final girl.
Yeah, the entire scene in the diner is my whole sequence is my favorite of the whole movie. And he tells her, like, I need you. I'm not you're safe. You're not gonna like what I do to you and your friends, but I'm not gonna kill you. He's like, poof, and he just sends her off. I love that scene. I think it's such a great scene.
Yeah.
It does. It sets the tone for the next couple of movies. And that's why you have to have her, spoiler alert, her and what's his name? Rick come back for the next one. Not Rick. Dan. You have to have them come back for the next one. There's still that connection to Alice and that. Then after that, we'll figure out what happens after that. But yeah, that's why I like it so much. That's a great scene, that one.
Yeah, I agree. That's an awesome scene. And so then the first kill of the new crop is Sheila. Sheila, who I really man, Sheila didn't deserve this. Justice.
I
for Sheila.
love Sheila.
Yeah, she gets it pretty bad too.
Yeah, that's another great scene.
Really bad.
Oh, but I love her.
She's done nothing. She's
done nothing wrong. She didn't hurt anyone. Nope.
Because she's an asthmatic. And oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say maybe Ginny didn't notice, but maybe the fellas did. That she was always like tightly wrapped up nerd until the death scene, and then she's wearing a slightly tighter sweater.
He sure is, Your Honor.
Right? Am I right?
It's like bodysuit level.
Because of the asthma. Yeah, I'm not. I know really hard. I know where your head is at. I saw you, Mr. Director. I saw you.
Also, when I was a kid, Sheila's death scene was like the best to me because I don't know what we had gotten up until then. Probably like nothing. Like probably just like the knives and like the shark. And we saw that scene, and that was like I was like, oh, this is Freddy. This is him in the dream sequence as a teacher going over to her. What I didn't expect that he was going to be like getting intimate with her. And I love Robert Englund. I have a huge crush on him. And then this is like when you're 14, you're confused. You're like, this is kind of like dark romance. This is a little attractive. And he grabs, what does he do? He goes, want to suck? He like gets a little intimate. He's like, touches her lip with the
what a suck face.
Like, oh no.
Wags a tongue in her face.
Yes. And like this, you didn't have this. Yeah. Oh my God. It gets so like bad. But then you're also just like, and then he goes, want to suck face. And we're like, no. And he does it. And then the body is like, that's like body horror. I was like, it is such a good death scene. And he's like, you flunked. But me and my sister always thought he should have said, you suck.
Yes. That probably would
have
been yeah.
funny.
That would have been better.
Like, you flunked, and throws her off like her dead body. But oh no, Sheila was the best. She was her and her girl friendship with Debbie is my favorite. They loved each other.
They had a good relationship.
Yeah, no, I really like their relationship, but she was just such a sweet character. Watching like that actress actually is really good because she looks terrified.
Oh yeah,
in this death scene, like she really is selling it.
She's such a like I don't know. She's like with her friend. She like dresses down her other friend. Is like sweet to Alice, and we could have had more of her. And
I thanks to the show, I started watching Never Sleep Again, the doc. And my favorite part of that was that
nice.
Robert Englund really did cut her because they had to use the real glove because it was such a good close up. He had to use the real glove, so whenever he would move, she had little nicks on her neck from the fucking knife. I was like, "You gotta sell that thing, sell it!" It's awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then that brings us to Rick. Rick is Alice's brother. Rick has a very interesting death scene, but before we get to that, because we didn't get to talk about this when we talked about On Delay, talk about shitty parents. Like this dad is like making Bloody Marys at 8 a.m. on a fucking work day. this guy's abusing, like verbally abusing his kids. He's a real piece of shit dad. And again, every parent in this, they don't lose that. Every parent in this this franchise is awful.
Well, not to make an excuse. I mean, the mother died, left him with these two kids. That's not an excuse. That doesn't mean you should be a shitty parent. But
yeah, right.
Maybe the drinking thing is one thing I get kind of. But yeah, there's no reason to be shitty to your kids.
We'll say I do like him though. He will have things might get better in the next movie. Might be only one of the better parts of the fifth one. But he is so like I cringe at him. His acting is so good, but just like the choice, like his acting choices are like he's not like. You just gonna do this and this. It's like all mental. It's very mental, and it's weird for like an '80s movie. He's like an alcoholic father, but he's like it's all like it's verbal insults, verbally abusive. Not great, but
yeah. When Rick dies though, and he afterwards, he seems like he kind of somewhat begins to snap out of it.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
The
trauma does snap him out of it. I agree.
Rick, I miss you so much, Rick.
Yeah. Which all right. I'll give him credit. He comes around after losing a child. That's more than we can say for some of these Elm Street parents.
That is true. But so like Rick's death also, by the way. So the whole part with when he falls asleep on the toilet, and then the cheerleaders are randomly around him, and then he goes into this elevator, and then it takes him to this dojo. So I'd also read that like apparently Dan was supposed to originally die in this movie. And it was supposed to be some crazy elevator death, but then they reworked it where they used the elevator part for Rick's death scene now, but then they decided to let Dan live.
Well,
so I thought that was a little cool behind the scenes.
Freddy's dojo is obviously in hell, so how are you going to get there? You got to take an elevator. You can't just go to hell.
Yeah, the elevator straight to hell.
So, but Dan, I mean, Rick, my friend, you really should have studied a little more, my friend, because you were a fucking terrible actor. Terrible.
He's like bad Christian Slater. And I loved him when I was 14. And even though
he's a fun-loving, brother, he's protective, but even then she was like, oh, Kincaid and Joe, you're dead. He's like, they were creepy.
He's like, hey, you're kind of sounding kind of spooky, but he's like, there's nothing on his face. When do I like him? Oh, I don't know. When they're watching the home videos, I think that's cute.
Yeah,
and the friends are just filming, and
it's like, oh, my two best friends both died last night. Gotta move on.
Kristen was the only one who gave a shit about them.
Yeah, it's true.
He's like, she's got this trauma. I don't know.
Yeah, somehow.
But of course,
I will say though, I do like the fight scene.
The fight with.
I'm sorry, Tim.
Yes. This seems to be the death where a lot of fans like kind of like. See, this seems to be the infamous.
I zone out
karate scene. Yeah,
is this the jump the shark scene?
Not for me. I think the fifth one is the total jump the shark thing.
I kind of like the fifth one.
Yeah,
hot takes.
Ginny and I are gonna have it out next week. I know, but not so.
Ginny,
fast.
Can I tell you that I went into this show like this actual run of season 2, knowing that you were going to love the next movie? 100%. We did so many episodes of James Bond together. I know your taste.
I know. And now listen. We all
if I can't make the next show, I am going to watch just because I can't wait to hear Ginny talk about.
This is going to be the quantum of solace of this run.
I didn't want to fall in love.
The quantum of solace where Ginny and I.
It is.
Like,
yes. It probably maybe is.
Yes, it is going to be the quantum of solace. Freddy's going to flip a bike. It's going to be amazing.
Let's talk about Buck Cherry. Everything. What a great song for karate too.
I love that song. I was upset that also soundtrack. That song was like lived in my head forever. And as soon as I got iTunes, I downloaded it immediately.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All like, man, that's such a that gets me hyped.
When I gave my computer AIDS for the first time, I would go through all my favorite soundtracks and go. The other room. I swear this is how it happened. I was downloading a bunch of stuff for Grogan too, downloading a bunch of random stuff for free, and that movie came on. And I heard the song come on. I was like, "Holy shit! What's the name of that song?" And I ran in there. I was like, "Yes,
yes.
Download, got it, love it."
Back in the day, you had to like Google lyrics or how do I find
Kids are so spoiled. Now you just have Shazam. Hold it up in the air and fucking tells you what you want to know.
Oh,
I know.
But Jason, you said you like you had something with this. Like you really like this one.
Yeah. I do. I didn't love it, but I did like this part, and I'll tell you why. I kind of thought it was interesting that we get a little Dream Warrior stuff vibe here. Like he's the only one, even though we watched the first 3 actual Dream Warriors perish very quickly. He's the first one to go, or the only one to go. I'm going to have some fucking ownership of this. I have discipline. I know how to do martial arts, and yeah, it looked hokey with him kicking nothing, and then but I liked that it was just the claw, and then he kicks the claw out, and then it's like, oh fuck, now I have no idea what this guy is, but he's real cocky. It's the 80s, so kung fu was a huge thing. Like growing up in the 80s, everyone I knew was fucking obsessed with taking martial arts or watching martial arts, doing something with martial arts. So I don't know. So I don't think it's the best kill of the movie, and we're going to talk about best versus worst. But I also don't think it's the worst. I think this is a fun scene.
I agree with you. I don't dislike the scene at all. I think I also still will stand by that. I think Freddy is just playing possum with him again. Like he's just like, oh yeah, oh you're hurt, ow, oh that hurts,
He's
oh that hurts.
now.
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, enough, glove done, and now you're dead.
Okay, but now picture Freddy wearing a Cobra Kai style gi, and them actually having a real fight. I'm just saying that would have been better.
If he wore like a red and green like karate gi,
yes,
and like yeah, I can see that. And then they would have had to
headband.
He would have had to have done like the crane thing. And see, that's Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
I was going to say that's Nightmare on Elm Street 5
That's
territory.
definitely 5 where that would have happened. And I'm thinking automatically of the comic book scene immediately.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. And a little motorcycle, but yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And pay tribute to Shonuff.
And in 6, he literally takes out a carrot.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What's up, Doc?"
What's up, Jada? Like everyone just got home. Go ahead.
Hey. But yeah. So that's I didn't realize that was the most hated scene by the fan base.
I just zone out. I feel like zone out a bit for me.
But I like Rick though.
Yeah,
also, and especially as a kid, like when I first saw the movie, I was like, also like, oh, like karate's cool and stuff, and everything like that. So I was like, oh, so this kid's really cool. And then it's like done, and I'm like, all right, so that was funny. All
Jason, he wears a long dark cloak like to high school. How do you feel about that?
Oh.
I feel like he's walking around with this really cool like dark,
trench coat.
That's kind of how I dressed in high school.
I mean,
yes, exactly.
I mean, I used to wear I still do, but I used to wear a long black trench coat. I'd walk around the halls in a black cape when we weren't filming a movie.
We don't have that. Even I love the Friday the 13th. So I'm not seeing that individuality. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. We don't. I like everyone's so individual, and they're all like, we're all just hanging out. We're all friends. And I'm like, I love it.
True, yeah. Jason and Silent Bob, and then those Columbine pussies ruined it for everybody. But yeah, I know you used to rock the long coat, Jason. I like that.
Yeah, I still do. But now I don't have like blonde hair, and I don't look like I'm 15 anymore. So no one mistakes me for one of those Columbine lunatics. All right, and then we get the last kid death before we talk about Freddy's death, and then we'll talk about best to worst deaths. But last kid death is Debbie. I think it's safe to say that this is the most gruesome death we get in the franchise thus far. This is so earlier in the movie, she takes out like a chip from a bag of chips, and there's a roach on it, and she rightfully throws it to the ground and crushes that roach. An hour later, she's working out. And this sequence is my favorite in the movie because she's working out, and while she's working out, Freddy's already tipped off to Alice that, oh, I'm going to go kill your friend Debbie. And Alice keeps going to the car and running into her boyfriend and like, we got to go save Debbie. And they drive, and it's a fucking dream loop that they don't realize till like 3 or 4 loops in that Freddy's fucking with them. And while they think they're going to save this girl, Debbie, she's pushing weights, and Freddy drops this thing on her and breaks her arms backwards. And they fall off, and she becomes a roach, in which Freddy somehow puts her in a roach motel and says, "Roach motel, you can check out, but you can't check in," and crushes her to death. This is brutal.
It's so great because when you watch it the first time, I don't think I was remembering like, oh, bugs are her like Achilles heel or sort of in a way, or that's her trauma. But the weights go down. Whatever like a tendons are like
everything snaps.
no blood, but like a tendon that's like without like a little bit like Philip maybe in a way. Oh God! And then
you don't even need the blood when you just get see the muscle, the tissue coming out.
No,
and their arms are just kind of like this and everything, and they're all just like, and she's running away like that.
And her face, and then that like.
Then her face gets stuck when she falls, and she pulls it out, and then she's a bug, but yet she's still screaming like a human.
I did see The Substance this weekend, and that was something else.
Ooh,
I suggest that to everybody. As a woman, I loved it. Loved all of it. And that had like gore stuff that I was like, well, was not expecting that. Well, okay. And then I got like sweaty. I was laughing. It was amazing. But it gave me those vibes. Like that is just like body horror. Like, but not quite bloody, but just like, right? Like the limbs and that's
definite body horror. Definitely.
There's no blood. There's zero blood.
No, and
good, but good.
And honestly, I think blood would have made it look ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think blood would have made it look ridiculous because she's literally transforming into an insect.
So surreal.
Skin.
It's her, the skin.
Yeah,
just the
it's like
skin, the shell. It's a shell is like falling off,
and
then she comes out.
Yeah. So, so that is a killer death. That pun was good.
This was the one I told you about 2 movies ago. This is the one that scarred me a little bit. I was like, no. I did not like that at all. The face getting stuck to the thing was like, I was like, I don't like this movie at all. I don't like this part.
What do you think? What happened to her in real life?
Thank you.
Got smushed by weights.
Because
now we're talking about this, and I don't think about this ever.
No,
I think so.
This is the one.
I assumed that she the weights fell on her and it crushed her, and thus the crushing in the box. That's what I assumed.
Maybe.
Okay, this is the one I have some questions about this.
Maybe it fell on her face, and that's the goo and the. I don't know.
I have some questions. As much as I do love this, and Ginny, I'm glad because that you mentioned Philip, because this is the 2 that I compare as the most gruesome deaths in the whole franchise, is Philip and Debbie.
And Debbie.
But all right. When this happens and they go through, like Dan and Alice are being put through the loop, and by the way, Robert Englund thinks that's like the greatest, like his favorite sequence in like the whole franchise.
It's super cool. It's done very well.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's him again showing off how he can just do whatever he wants with them to get them so they can't interfere. Okay, because he does see Alice as a threat at this point. Like starts to see. So, who is sleeping? Did Debbie fall asleep while she was working out?
That must be it. Yeah.
How?
She works. She's watching Dallas.
I guess if she fell asleep while watching Dallas, then I got my explanation. But what the fuck? We never see her fall asleep.
She was working out so hard. We weren't working out like this back in the day. Now we're all weightlifting.
But you're not falling asleep on the weight bench.
Well, I always thought she did. I always figured she fell asleep on the weight bench, just and like she never picked the weights up. That was all the dream.
But we don't know.
She was sleeping the whole time. That's why.
But she was holding it like mid lift and goes, and it falls on her.
That's how you explain her face getting squashed off like a bug.
I got it. So because it was the 80s, we tended to work out and do exercise without properly hydrating. I learned this from your sister, Ginny, when we went to go see the
chorus
show
line
that we saw her in. Yeah, it's a chorus line. When someone in that production asked the director, "Can we bring water on and pretend it's our water?" And they went, "No one hydrated in the 70s and 80s." So I think she had a great workout, but she was dehydrated. And then instead of going for water, she just lit a cigarette, which is what they did in the 80s. And she dehydrated and passed out.
Quite possibly had a beer. Like, we don't know. Which to me sounds like great. But
that's all I got.
I do wonder, though.
You are
I want to know what happens.
I buy that.
Yeah, I want to know what happens with Debbie in reality. Like, I'm sure it was probably a cut scene that of something or some explanation, but it's not that Alice fell asleep and pulled her into, because Kristen didn't pull people in who were wide awake and knock them out to sleep.
No,
like, that's not how
you
it
had to
works.
be asleep first. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So
this movie played with sleeping and being awake. What about the claw marks in the beginning? Were they there? Remember?
There's no explanation about that either.
The postcard.
Was
that a dream? You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. They really mess with your dream or reality thing in this one.
Well, no, the postcard thing I can kind of see where I guess I can sort of
Alice
explain
is
away
still
with,
a little sleepy, maybe, or something.
No, or Freddy can somewhat penetrate reality, right?
Oh, okay.
So he can.
Yeah. Oh, I like
you
that.
do see that, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's him taunting Alice in that way. I mean, it's a postcard. I mean, I can see that, but you're right. The claw marks are in the beginning of the movie. The Elm Street kids aren't even dead yet because it's Joey and Kincaid that walk by.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You're right.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's a matter of, as much as I enjoy this movie, as much as we all enjoy this movie, we have to admit it's a bit lazy in certain aspects of how does Freddy come back? How does this happen? How does that, where's the explanation for this? And I think this is just one of those things. I think they were like, hey, this is cool.
Let it go.
She pulls people into dreams, so let's make it happen. Honestly, I think that's what it is. I don't think there is an in-canon explanation. I think they're kind of both trying to capture the joy of the franchise and create something that can keep going, and they're cutting corners to do so.
Yeah, and there might be deleted scenes or anything, because what I had mentioned earlier, or actually to you guys prior, is they started filming this movie with no director. They named him director when the movie was already filming.
And no script.
No. They're like, hey, Randy Harlan, you're the director.
I know.
And 2 weeks before it was released, they were like, oh, by the way, we got to do a reshoot. What do you mean a reshoot? 2 weeks ago. No, reshoot now. And they did it.
Yeah. And not to the extreme that, like, the stories behind 5 are crazy. Like, that was a whole nother level of blown past it. And it's probably because they knocked it out of the park in the end with this. They're like, oh, yeah, we can do that again. And we can even cut even more corners. But it's like, no, not so fast. It didn't go over this time. But, yeah, they were kind of ad-libbing a lot. There was a writer's strike that they had to deal with, that they had to kind of, like, also make some stuff up. So maybe that's where these things fell through the cracks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think that all makes sense. Like, if you're working under those constraints and you don't even really have a script at first, then yeah, you're gonna miss things. And again, I think this is a good movie, but it does miss things.
Yeah, and also script wise too. The idea apparently was that New Line went to Wes Craven initially to go ahead and to write a script, and then he had some other time travel story that he wanted to go, and they were like, no, this doesn't make any sense. We're not doing any of this. And then they had their script, and then they asked him for rewrites. He's like, fuck off, you didn't use my original idea. And then they were like, all right, well, we're going to keep going, and then found their way eventually. Just weird tidbits.
I want to know, where's Freddy going in time? Was he going to the 1920s? Is he going to be going to a speakeasy?
The time travel thing for Wes Craven was probably, that's not good.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
I get it. He visits Freud. I've been saying that needs to be a movie.
Subconscious?
Freddy versus Freud. So, Freddy, tell me about your mother.
This is one time I'll say that the studio taking over and saying we know what kind of movie we want to make and build on Dream Warriors was the move, because this movie does like go off the shoulders of Dream Warriors. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's Freddy's death himself. Anyone want to field this one? Because I like that we've been jumping around. People have been taking different ones. So anyone have strong feelings about this, or should I do this one?
Freddy's death?
Do you want to talk about Alice?
Freddy's death, yeah. How he's... Well, I'm going to talk about Alice, but I wanted to finish Freddy's death to finish off the deaths. Talk about the deaths, and then talk Final Girl. Because I've been missing... she's the final girl. She should literally be the last character we talk about. So,
Freddy's death, when basically the whole... I'm going to be honest, I thought it was kind of corny. That the whole thing where he sees him, evil sees itself and just shows him his own reflection, and then the souls burst out. And it's the random naked chick who is, by the way, seen that just is very bizarre that happens.
You go to the what's the Museum of Moving Images in Astoria? They have the Freddy chest.
Yeah,
because it's huge from the behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
They have that and something else of a few of his faces, and it was like my holy grail when I saw it. I was like, yes, because it's the real chest. It's huge. That was like the thing that like
that's
people
awesome.
were, I don't know, working through, but it was weird.
Nice. Yeah, it is kind of weird that they do that. The arms come out and they kind of rip them apart and everything.
That was a great.
The action figure I have of Freddy Krueger, because I have one, is the one from this, and he has the chest piece. I didn't bring it here because I don't have the chest piece on right now. He's wearing his regular chest because a sort of swap out. But he comes with the chest of all of the souls.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry, Tim, I interrupted you.
Oh no, he's muting himself. So yeah, I don't know. Like I just don't like the execution or the visual of just him seeing himself in the mirror, and that's what does it in. Like I kind of felt like there would have been some other thing, and then during that battle, like Alice is using all this stuff, like that random bug zapping thing, and she pulls a fucking electricity from the wall, and I'm like, what the hell is this? What's going on here? Whatever. It looks cool, but just thinking about it wise, I'm like, man, whatever. I mean, I guess you had to get Debbie in there somehow, or some way.
Yeah, because her brain was her superpower. So
yeah, I guess it looks cool. No, the final fight does look cool. I'm not saying it doesn't. Just I don't know. No, they could have just been done a little bit different.
I agree. I think it looks cool. I like the idea of she needs to bring the power of all the people who was in her friend's group who died. And that's actually very Buffy season 4. We're talking about Buffy before, Jim.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, what we have to do now is everyone needs to come together to fight this evil. I like that part of it, but I agree with you.
No one's deaths are in vain.
The mirror and
yeah. It's wholesome. There's something
I like
hopeful more.
Exactly, because it's like, okay, so they died, but for a reason. Because at least they vanquished Freddy for 5 minutes, you know?
They're not lost. There's a nihilistic about it. And I as a kid, I liked that. And I was like, oh, this isn't as, like, he's scary. And he's like, whatever. But I was like, I like the kids. I like her heroine. They're not just, like, sleeping. No one's, like, having sex in this. Like, no, there's no, like, drug use. They're just, they just have interests. And Freddy's like, we're going to knock that off real quick. I'm gonna stop that.
And
you like karate? I'll show you karate.
How dare you have hobbies? How dare you?
Jason's the one that doesn't like sex. Jason doesn't like people having sex.
Exactly. I was like, I used to think Freddy do too. It was like the first one. So I like that.
Freddy toys with the idea of them having sex with that too. No, Jason is just like, no, celibacy.
No.
I will kill you.
Boo.
Like you said, Freddy doesn't make hobbies. No hobbies for you. Whatever you like, I'm gonna stab you.
No hobbies.
Yes, you want to make puppets? I'll show you.
If I couldn't be a doctor, if I couldn't be a doctor, you can't be a podcaster, bitch.
Oh my gosh! And there would be podcasting deaths. Oh, it'd be so much fun.
Oh, that's how he would get me. This is my hobby. He would absolutely cut my tongue out and make me continue talking or something. I don't know.
TikTok fans, could you imagine?
I'd like to take my headphones and squeeze my head to my eyeballs popped out or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. I just got my own death. I just got my own death for my Elm Street movie.
All right. Anything else about Freddy's death before I give it over to Ginny to talk about Alice, the final girl? Ginny, I think from now on I want you to curate our discussion on the final girl because especially starting with this one. This is your thing. So anything else about the Freddy's death before we move on?
Nope.
All right, Ginny, it's all yours. Final girless.
I loved Alice again as like a 14-year-old. Like, well, there's Kristen who's cool and has a boyfriend, and that's awesome to me. But then like the dorky one. The I don't know again, and also she wasn't like dorky. She was just shy and had like people. Her friends, maybe they weren't like the best of friends with her. Maybe they were Rick's friends, I assume, who Kristen's friends like mostly. and she was along for the ride. But I love that. I think that's like real. I think that's totally natural. I think if you're like with good people, that's like, you know, you're building up your confidence. Her dad, oh my gosh, like, you know, I don't want to see myself in the mirror. Like, why you're covering your photos or mirror with photos? Don't you want to see yourself? No, I'm okay. Like, I was like, oh, it's so good. Also, when Dan, who she kind of like is sweet on, and then Dan kind of becomes more into the fold, and she's getting more confident, but she's not getting confident to like impress him. She's like frustrated. She's like, I'm telling you, no one's just believing me, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna deal with it. But she's already a little bit like has an abused household, and her brother's gone. She's just getting stronger in like the most natural way. Oh, Alice is the best. And yeah, and I it's so fat. I think she is like truly in all of horror one of my best final girl. Like Nancy's great. We all love Nancy, of course. We love Nancy. Kristen's fine. I think Alice is just like so, and then the third or the fifth one too. Hot takes, but I almost wish Alice had come back for just like another Freddy movie. I feel like I've read like not fan fictions, but other scripts where she does. But she's cool, and she gets a little bit every power to fight back. And I think she's thrown into a totally different situation in 5. But she's the coolest. Me and my sister really were like, and she was an accidental. It was like you killed off the one girl, so we're watching this movie, going, "Oh my gosh, she's dead! Wasn't she like supposed to be in the lab?" Like clearly, there's a history. And then this like girl shows up, and we were like, nope, we love her. Oh my gosh! By the end of it, we're like, this is a fully formed like little dumb 80s that we were obsessed with. And then of course we were all like, you know, her outfit, her fighting, you know, just I can't talk about how much I love her, but I love her so much.
Tim, any thoughts on the final girl?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Alice too. I like the quiet, mousy little daydreamer, and her daydreams are all hilarious. Obviously, the, you know, grade A piece of whatever the hell you're a hunk and all that stuff is all fantastic. Yeah, when she smashes the great plate in front of her father.
Yeah, I can think about how.
Yeah. She becomes, you know, I do the metaphor with the whole. I don't like to look at myself until I'm forced to. Now that I'm forced to, I'm a badass, and I'm really going to kick this guy's ass.
Yeah.
So I like that whole thing too. Yeah, and I like Alice.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't have much to say, so I'm gonna give it over to Ed in a second. But I actually really did like Alice. My favorite moment from Alice in this movie is the fucking montage where she's getting ready to kick some Freddy ass, and she's putting all her clothes on and getting her stuff together, and the 80s music is playing. I watched that go, and I love this. This is my scene right here. Ed, final thoughts on the final girl?
I like Alice a lot too. She's really cool, and her whole like character progression from when we first meet her on and stuff, I thought was pretty cool. And I know she during her montage to go fight Freddy, she also cleans her room, which is also very nice. That yeah, I don't know. She does that thing where she like brushes off her whole like thing, and I'm like, okay. Sure, I guess you had to get around to that sooner or later. But no, it's pretty cool, and she really goes like hand-to-hand combat with Freddy. Like she does take it to him and stuff. So it's, you know, it's pretty cool, and not like Nancy. It's different from what Nancy did, and it's in that, and it's different with the Dream Warriors did and stuff. Like she really goes hand-to-hand combat with him. So, you know, kudos to her for that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, yeah, she was an awesome final girl. All right, so we have two more things. One real quick. What is the scary to funny percentage in your opinion? Because we've been talking about this, right? We're really looking for the scale. First one, I think we all said like 85-90% scary. Second, I think we were still at like 85. Third, it started to shift a bit. Where do you guys put this? Like percentage scary, percentage funny. I'll start because I've had time to think about it. And then, you know, I actually think at this point we're 50-50. Like there was nothing necessarily in this movie that terrified me. There's some stuff grossed me out, and maybe I'll go 55-45 because like there is some gross things like the roach and stuff. But I think with all the quips, and the quips work. I'm not even complaining about them. I think most of them are genuinely funny and memorable. Yeah. But because of all the quips, because of all the the Freddy being Jaws and all of the pop culture references. Like, I think we start to get where we're now watching a horror comedy.
I agree. I think maybe when I first watched it was a little scary to me. Now I think 5 is scarier than this. Like scary, like a little like unsettling to me in a way. This to me is like maybe like less scary, less than 50%, right? I think so, maybe like 30, 40. It's pretty. This is like comfort to me. This is not scary.
Tim? Or Ed? Yeah, whoever wants to jump on it.
I'd probably go less than 50-50. I like I said, the word would be unsettling, because the roach thing, still don't like it to this very day. I watched it today, even then I was like, God damn roach thing. And the meatball, don't like Rick's face on the meatball.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets stabbed with the meatball. Yeah. When he eats it, I'm okay with it. But I told you my weakness is things that don't belong on other things. I don't like faces on meatballs. I don't like it. I don't like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel very unsettled. Scary? No, I wouldn't say scary, but like unsettling is probably the best word. That and the road scene are the two. Like, nah, I can't deal with this today.
Man, I still I don't know. I agree with the unsettling part, especially with the Debbie death and everything, and Sheila. That's also like another one that's a bit unsettling there too. But I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know if I'd go to horror comedy level, but Freddy's having a lot of fun in this movie. He is, and I've explained I think it's mostly just him being extremely cocky in this whole thing. But once he kind of learns about Alice being the other gatekeeper and stuff, which I think we should probably jump on that for a second, because her teacher who's Robert Shea, who was randomly explaining this in class. It's like, hey, exposition time. Here's what we were setting up, because the Dream Master thing doesn't get ever mentioned before that scene. And then it's in 2 scenes, really.
Nonsense.
Yeah, and then when Alice shows up at the end, Freddy acknowledges, like, oh, I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch. And they go at it, and that's it. But I don't know. When he needs to get serious, he does get serious there. Like, on a couple of occasions there. But he's having a blast. So I would say probably about 50-50. I don't think anything in this movie now, especially, is scary. But it is, like what Jenny said, it is comforting. Like, this just reminds me of like a fun thing, to do and to watch. So it is comforting.
All right, awesome. So before we determine whether this was a nightmare or a dream, a pleasant dream, but I'm pretty sure it's been clear where we're going with this. Anything else from your notes that I haven't gotten to that you guys want to discuss?
So that's a Dream Master thing?
Soundtrack is awesome. Soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah, because you just talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna to make back awesome. What Jenny said. Yeah, the soundtrack is awesome, and we also didn't really touch on the whole. This is where the whole, but this is by far the best soundtrack in the whole franchise. It's not even remotely close. And this is also when we get Fat Boys. Are you ready for Freddy? Versus DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes.
And the Fresh Prince in A Nightmare on My Street, because there was the whole thing where they were trying to, apparently before this came out, the second they decided to greenlight 4, they had to have a rap song attached to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and they were taking kind of some bids and stuff like that, but they ultimately selected the official movie. The official song was going to be, Are You Ready for Freddy? And then it was a whole lawsuit with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince because they were using all likenesses to Freddy, but they didn't get picked. So it was a very weird thing to that. But then you also mentioned within the movie itself, there's a lot of cool 80s songs in this too. The commercialism part of Freddy is on full display when you really talk about the music and the soundtrack and everything like that. This is where,
merch.
Yeah, exactly. Merch. Besides posters on walls, I'm sure I remember there was plush toys and shit like that going on and stuff, which is really crazy.
Trading cards.
Yeah, there was trading cards. I'm sure there was like a sticker book that I had at some point too. Yeah, we used to get the cards and there were stickers and you collected them all and shit. So that really blew up and everything. He was on MTV a lot and everything. And I remember seeing like behind the scenes stuff and the makings of this, like leading up to it. So there was that. And I know there are some who refer to this as like the MTV Freddy. You know,
was he on Arsenio and stuff?
Yes, this was with the Arsenio Freddy, and Robert Englund was doing that whole thing in the press tour and stuff. So it does show a big jump before the shark gets jumped. You know, very shortly. Another random note I had here, by the way, I'm sorry.
No, this is them on the motorcycle right before, like they're doing a really cool stunt right before they're about to jump the shark.
Yeah, exactly.
Revving the engine.
How ironic that there's somebody ends up on a motorcycle in Dream.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god, yeah, that's right.
Did you guys notice that at Kristen's funeral that basically Nancy and John Saxon and everyone else got buried together?
They would have wanted it that way.
I guess.
And they were way too close together, too, by the way.
Very close together. It was like, oh boy.
Is this like Queens where there's no space, I assume, in the cemeteries?
Yeah, did Kristen have something in her will? Did she have a living will that said bury me next to Nancy?
Well, she loved Nancy, so maybe that's what it was.
She did love Nancy. She did.
I think what it is the town actually knows who Freddy kills and doesn't. They just can't do anything about it. So it's like, you were killed by Freddy Krueger. We put you in the pet cemetery over there. You know,
their bodies.
Guy drowned in his bed. Put him in the Freddy lot. Put him in the Freddy area.
This seems weird. Let's put him in the Freddy lot.
Guy drowns in his bed. That's got to be Freddy Krueger. Get him in the Freddy lot.
And Robert Englund also appears as Kristen's nurse.
Oh my gosh!
The first time I was here.
That's kind of
thank you. That was on my list to bring up. That I love watching him as the nurse, and I look at him and I go, "Wait a minute," because again, it's only the second time I've seen this movie. I went, "Is this Robert Englund? Holy shit, that's Robert Englund! That's really fucking cool." Like if I was seeing this for the first time and I'm just watching it and I'm not examining it, I don't think I would have picked up on that. But it's good foreshadowing. I like that moment.
It scared me as a kid just because I was like, this isn't right. This is funny. And then it gets weirdly surreal. And then I never know why he does it. When he goes, he just is stretching, goes, her, and his back gets bloody. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I don't like it. And I was like, that's kind of alarming to me. And then he's like, oh, I want to draw some blood. But just for some reason, back is, and it just rips. And you're like, what is that? What is that supposed to be?
So what we can go what was your favorite Freddy one-liner?
Well, that was my next thing.
Okay.
That was the next thing I was going to say. Is my favorite Freddy one-liner because it's so bad it's good. Is when he has the pizza with the kids' faces on it. Sorry, Tim. And he says, "Talk about soul food."
That's mine too.
I can't crack me up because crack me up.
No, as much as the scene it grosses me out, I told you that whole sequence from the movie theater all the way to the diner to where she's on the loop. That whole thing is my favorite. I absolutely love that. Yeah. And when it came on today, when I was watching, I was like, "Oh yeah, I love this part." Because I said that when she gets sucked into the theater, and the creepiness of her looking back, and they're all sitting there giving her the slow clap. All Kristen and all, I was like, that is awesome. And then he just sits next to her at the diner, talking casually, like, I'm not going to kill you because I really need you. And then he scoops up Rick's meatball and eats it. And it's nasty. But that's my favorite kill, my favorite line, and my favorite scene in the whole movie. So that's.
I do like how's this for a wet dream?
Yes,
and I want to suck face. I do kind of like those. Those are like, man,
they all work.
Yeah. Damn, I think it is how how's this for a wet dream, and then
the waterbed,
Yeah,
and that's a
yeah.
great. That's like
that
he's
is a great
in the
one.
water, and that's like alarming, and it gets him down. That's bad. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it's also not like a bad one. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to drown you, and he
Yes,
knows that
yes.
Joey's fucking teenage horniness, his hormones are out of control. So he's just like, oh, I'm gonna just play all in. It's just that line goes all into that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Ed, two of your favorites. Who's
also
better one-liners, Arnold's or Freddy?
Wow, that is tough. We might have to come back to that. Yeah, holy shit.
Well, maybe we'll do the Arnold deep dive next season. Then we can discuss that in the last episode.
Freddy versus Arnold, or
Freddy versus Arnold, the one-liners.
That's right.
Or Dream Master Freddy versus Tango and Cash.
Yeah. Oh, Tango Cash wins.
It is. It's true, man. And it's like, listen, I don't. It's not a ding on the movie. It's just that, like, it's when you really
written in
watch
one-liners.
It's just all fucking one-liners.
No, I agree. The thing is, we're talking about Tango and Cash. I'm saying that's a fun movie. But I was just
unlike Tango and Cash,
these one-liners
make sense.
Yes, and they work. Because that's the thing.
Not
I'm
every
the
word.
first to point out crappy writing. Right. It's Freddy. It's one guy. It's one guy whose job is to be this malevolent dream trickster.
And I stand by it that he does this because it's the evolution of how his power keeps growing in each movie now. And he's like reaching peak Freddy. And this is basically like peak Freddy here that we're getting.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So why wouldn't he be cocky about it? He knows that none of them except Alice eventually pose any kind of a threat to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like that idea. And it continues. And I think that's why you can even make the case that's why he gets more cartoonish. Because, I'm not a serial killer, but if I understand addiction, which I do, the first time you do anything that becomes an addiction is you're always chasing that high. And so I don't know, maybe as he gets, he's always chasing that high. Like, I remember the first time I killed a kid, it was simple. I had a knife. It's not good enough anymore. I need to drop a fucking piano on someone's head in the middle of the air, look at the camera and go, ain't I a stinker? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just him trying to reclaim that high.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I had murdered Tina. And, I need to capture that high all over again.
Say with the glove.
Yeah. that has more of an effect.
I remember the good old days when you could just stab a girl to death and it was okay. Now I got to get real elaborate. Last week I had to turn a motorcycle into my face. You think I wanted that?
That's a lot of work.
And I also make the same type of thing in the Friday the 13th thing, because then Jason, like in the reboot, is actually running after people. And I say that in the original series, that's why he just appears. He got lazy. He just was walking. He's nonchalant about it. He's not a hustler. He's not a hustler anymore.
He's walking through the woods with his head down, just chilling. Oh, god damn it, a teenager. Here we go.
Yeah, these motherfuckers.
Can't they just stay out of my woods?
Can't you guys stop with the premarital?
Grabs his axe.
But by that logic, though, Freddy, I can picture Freddy like coming home from a day of killing and be like, I really gotta stop this, man. This is becoming way too elaborate. I just want to stab someone and go home. I don't need to come up with all these quips and all these one-liners.
I just spent 3 days setting up a house full of traps for Kevin McAllister. I think I need help. Someone get me a rehab. He spends like his weekends looking in the mirror, going like, how about a wet dream? That makes sense. We write that down for water. Practicing the quips.
Yeah, like when I get to Joey one day, I'm gonna just go ahead and.
I should know. He was like George in the Jerk Store, right? From the third one, he like they kill him, and he's like his whole undead. He's like, Ah, shit, wet dream. That kid loves sex. He sleeps in a waterbed. It was right there. I left money on the table. I gotta get back and make that quip.
And he's talking to like Pinhead and everything, and Hell and everything, and Chucky and all this other shit. It's just like, no. Wet dream is the line. Wet dream is the line.
Wet dream.
It's wet dream. They're like, well, what if he doesn't have a waterbed? Wet dream is the line.
Wet dream is the line.
Now we're getting off the rails. Now we're going off the rails.
Yeah, all right. Let's get it back. All right, so I think we covered everything. Like we didn't actually do lore, but there was a lot of lore that we covered in the first half. So, I mean, is there anything lore that we didn't cover that you guys want to like fill in before we give our final say?
No.
The only thing I feel that's added to lore is honestly just the Dream Master stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything else is kind of straightforward.
Yeah, the same. I mean, the Dream Master stuff, but also like what I do like about the interesting addition to the lore is the ability to transfer the dream, and this is the movie that makes it possible for Freddy to keep killing after the Elm Street kids are gone. So I think that's a very small, because it's embedded there, but important thing to the lore that pays off in the next two movies.
And more, because even in Freddy vs. Jason, that's supposedly why he's been gone.
That's right.
Long,
yeah,
they erased him from
actually
the consciousness.
Yeah, that's how they get him back. That's right. So so this will come back huge in future iterations of the franchise. All right, so Tim, start us off, because I don't actually think I've asked you to start us off on any of these, and I try to be a fair and unbiased host. So like Fox News. So tell us, do you consider this movie a dream, a nightmare, or somewhere in between?
Oh, definitely a dream. I still love this movie. I just watched it today. I still love it. Still brings back a lot of good memories. And I said, this is where Freddy became the rock star. And you can tell this is where, like Eddie said, the poster came out. My cousin Dave had one on his wall. He was younger than me, and he loved Freddy, and he had him on his wall. The famous, that one.
Yep.
He had that one right above his bed. I'm like, dude, you're like 10. Why do you have this on your bed? He's like, I love Freddy. I was like, all right, good for you. I love Freddy too. Yeah, I think it holds up very well. This is where he became part of, pop culture. Pros.com. But yeah, this is the way he became a member of the pop culture. I had to throw it in there. Yeah, this is where he became an American icon, so to speak. So yeah, I think definitely a dream. Love this movie still.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give my review, then Ginny, and then Ed. I'm going to give you final say because you are the dream master of this episode. This is an absolute dream. Like, there are problems with it, as I talked about. I don't care. Like, I don't care. It's just fun, and that's always what I say. Are you giving me a fun experience? Yes, that's all I care about. And and it was also good. Like the quips work, the writing is good for what it is. The effects are good. The kills, like again, we talked about that. Some of these kills, or one of these kills in particular, traumatized him. That's important. That's powerful filmmaking. So I'm going to say, even though I do say that this is the beginning of the end for the franchise, that's not this movie's fault, because this movie just sets up things that other people don't handle correctly down the line. And I think this movie is an absolute banger of a movie and a lot of fun. And I would say it's third, we've only covered 4, so that might not sound so impressive, but I also don't think it's going to leave third. So, and to be honest with you, how can it beat 3 and 1? Those are like masterpieces, in my opinion. So, but yeah, so that's my thought. Jenny?
I love this movie. It's a dream, of course. It's just like, it was my introduction. It's a perfect blend. It's like not too scary. It was funny. It got all the, I got the gist of it. I feel like this is like what society wants from Freddy. And it's comfort watching. I fall asleep watching this all the time. I can quote this movie, soundtrack on repeat. It's like my top. It's really high up there for me, and I love it.
I mean, definitely a dream, right? Like it easily. Yeah, of course. No, it's definitely a dream, and I've gone over I always have like a connection with this. This was almost like a second in a weird way, or a second reintroduction to the franchise, because it was the first one I got to see in the theater and everything like that. So that'll always hold a certain place. And yeah, I mean, objectively speaking, yes, 1 and 3 are still like the top 2. And I do, at least at this point, I will wrestle with this and Freddy versus Jason, because that one was also that just, both of these movies know, Freddy vs. Jason and Dream Master both know what they're supposed to be, and they crush it. Both of them awesomely. Like I mentioned, they knew what they wanted to make with this, and this was the intention, and they did it absolutely perfectly. And yeah, definitely a dream. Definitely a dream. And yes, awesome. I will Dream Master.
Right, well, Jason,
Jason, was your Dream Master wise? Yeah, I said this before. Ginny could be the Alice of guarding her gate, and then I will guard my gate. And I've been guarding it for a long time.
Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, well, thank you guys for joining me for this conversation. Thank you for anyone listening. If you like what you heard, go over to Pop Culture Pros website, the Facebook website, like and subscribe. We have our own Facebook website if you're interested. Double O Deep Dive, because that's what it formerly was. Now it's PCP Deep Dive. We will be back in 2 weeks. We'll be covering the infamous and probably Ginny's favorite of the lot, Dream Child, Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
I just like it.
No, I know. I just got to be. I've got to be. Sensational when I do these things. It might be the quantum of solace of this discussion. So of this run. Also, we're going to be covering just a couple of Freddy Krueger songs next week, because I wanted to use them to start some of these episodes off, but all of these movies, with the exception of the first one, have a song that you kind of in the movie have to start off with. So I think that next week we're going to listen to Do the Freddy, or You're Ready for Freddy. There's something called Freddy Krueger by SOD, Nightmare on Elm Street by DJ Jazzy Jeff, and of course, I said Ready for Freddy. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to do a bit more research, make sure I didn't miss any, because I might have missed some. I will send you guys a list. I will post a list on Facebook in case anyone wants to listen to these. But that is the homework for 2 weeks. Freddy 5 and a handful of songs.
I know SOD very well.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay. I've never heard of that one. I was just looking kind of off a list I looked up.
You're in for a treat.
You're in for a treat. All right, so we'll be covering those next week. And Ed, what do we got going over at the Grannies?
Well, right now, if you have seen Joker File Do, you can go and check out our review of it as well. We have a non-spoiler review and a spoiler review. So we actually kind of did 2 in the same episode. We're trying something a little different with that, along with the latest episode of Agatha All Along. That's up right now. And then next week, we will be coming back with episode 5 of Agatha All Along, the season 4 premiere of Superman and Lois, their final season, and along with The Penguin, episode 3, which dropped tonight, about an hour or 2 hours ago. So, yeah, we got a lot going on there.
All right, excellent. All right, so thanks again, and I bid you all a good night.
Bye.